Hi, Aries. Welcome to your February 2026 tarot reading. Have to say, this feels fated to me. Like, I feel February is carrying like a turning point energy for you. This is what I was just picking up as pre-shuffling the cards. I feel like the universe has been like lining things up for you, but quietly, like behind the scenes. And I feel like now, and it's interesting because I feel like a lot of us expected in January that now energy. Well, I feel like February is when a lot of signs are experiencing this now energy, and you're one of them. So, you know, I think it's just time for us to see what's been happening behind the scenes. What is this now moment? And let's just take it from there. Let's go to the cards and our spirit guides. So we will use Mother Mary, not use. She will open up the reading. What am I putting over there? The crystal vision is what we will use to go deeper. And your main spread is going to be with the Universal Tarot. So I'm going to bring the lid down. And I do want to remind you that this is for all placements of Aries. And some of you are intuitively guided. And you're just learning to trust in that. I just know it. I feel like I brought the lid down too far. All right. Let's open up your reading, Aries. I feel like this, like, let's get going energy. By the way, anyone who's new, even though I do spend quite a time pre-shuffling the decks, that's kind of where I'm meditating on your sign. I do like to give them one shuffle with you here. For a few different reasons. All right, Mother Mary. Mother Mary's words of wisdom. Self-respect. RESPCG. Self-respect. I honor and love myself through my healthful actions. Well, I feel like that can mean many different things, and it does, because I feel like everyone has their own, I don't know, like, you know, we all have our load we're carrying, we all have our thing. Um, Sometimes we forget that, and I don't know why I'm talking about that. All right, let's go to the main spread. And by the way, they will all link together, guaranteed. All right, give them a cut. And I am going to do the Celtic Cross for you. Um, it's been a while since I've done like, look at that. The cards already know they want to come out. It's been a while since I've like done spreads. I usually just kind of freewheel it. And who knows, I may go back and do second readings sometime in the month. All right, so number one is current energy. Current energy. Number two, what crosses that? Bridges it, helps it, hurts it. Number three is the subconscious mind. Can be the things you're unaware of, but your subconscious mind is aware of it. I've been feeling a lot of like dreams down here lately for some reason. I feel like it is the kind of like the crown of the reading. Okay, next, your past, then your conscious mind. So your conscious mind and your subconscious mind mirror each other. Excuse me. As does your near future and your past. You know, it's like here's the bridge that connects them. Here's the bridge that connects them. So we shall see. This is why I put the cards down. I like the mystery. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I like to read. I like the mystery of it unfolding for us. And granted, sometimes it takes more time, but all right, this is you. This is external influences, noise. You know, it can be a benefit or not. We'll see. Next is your hopes in. Whoops, interesting. I got 2 cards, so I'm going to take them. Your hopes and your fears. And it's interesting. Watch one be a hope and one be a fear. And then this is the final outcome. And this would have been the final outcome had not your hopes and fears taken it. So, we shall see what that means. Okay, I just want to keep that in mind. All right, let me grab a drink real quick. I feel like I'm about to do a lot of talking. And let's begin. Current energy. Aries. Discontentment, boredom. This is within your emotional house. Doesn't have to mean love, but it can be. You know, I feel like she feels lonely. That's what I feel. And of course, that may not be everyone, but like I feel that and I see it, but then I also feel it. Like all of a sudden, I feel lonely. And I may be judging myself against these cups. Almost like they didn't work out because of me. Because of me. That's just not true. That's not true. It probably didn't work out because in the 4 of Cups, and you can't really, oh, yes, you can. There's a cup coming in. This cup is coming from the hand of divine. So, you know, I feel like this gives us a different perspective. Here comes this cup. And listen, it may have been whatever time was needed, but I feel like now we can look at these cups as potential stepping stones, right? Like each one may have taught you something valuable. Definitely one of them taught you what you don't want, maybe what you won't accept, what you can't live with. I don't know if this is right or wrong, but when Sam and I connected, I said, the one thing I don't want, I'm not willing to accept, no matter how much I love someone, is someone who needs to go to the bar by themselves. Like a special occasion, of course, but like someone who goes to the bar like after work, and I'm not judging, but I don't want that. I don't want that. And I don't care what it costs me. I know it's what I need. You know what I mean? But it makes me realize that the only way I know that is because I've been through that. And trust me, it didn't do me any good. I mean, it taught me what I did not want. However, here comes this cup, and it's putting me back. It's taking me back to that time in my life because right after I got divorced is when I met this guy, and boy, my energy was just down low. I was like, how am I going to make it? Though I wanted the divorce, I asked for it, but I had 2 children, young children. Um, but I just remember that energy. And then I remember going, well, I don't even know if I should say this, but I remember going to the bar, like, this was like a year later, because I really was home. I didn't have the money to get a babysitter. Um, and then the, and then my ex took the kids for a weekend, like, finally. And I'm like, I just got to go out. So, long story short, when I went out, I love to dance and I love like loud music. You know, I just do good loud music, not any loud music. But anyway, there was this guy on the dance floor and I just thought he was drop dead gorgeous. And he really was. Um, and I'm a Virgo and I'm shy, usually. I don't know if shy is the right, I'm more reserved. Yeah, I'm not shy, I'm reserved. But something made me go up and ask him to dance. And now when I look at that situation, it is like I literally asked the devil to dance because this person turned out to be an abuser, like like I thought I had it bad. I knew nothing. I was about to see what bad was, but I had to save myself. Hmm. And I don't mean to be talking about me, though I just feel like when I do, some of you are there. And I guess the good news is I am on the other side. And it's funny because when I finally got out of that situation and I literally had to move, I moved back home to my mom's. Um, I said, I don't trust myself with love. So it's not going to happen. But then, by the way, person was an Aries, um, came into my life and just seemed so responsible, like the opposite of what everything that I knew. And I knew it was meant to be, and so did he. And we said that often, and even though it didn't work out, we remained friends. Should give a shout out. Shout out, Jim. Um, the Patriots are back in the Super Bowl. I don't know what I feel about that. Okay. All right. Let's see what crosses it. Look at that. The Nine of Cups. Wow. That's your inner harmony. That's you being okay with whatever the situation is. Because, you know, you can find the joy. Interesting. And maybe why I was talking about loud music and dancing. I feel like what this is saying is whether there's a cup coming in or not, this part of your journey may have been about you and you finding this inner harmony. And that could have only come through, well, 2025, the year of the hermit, right? That deep reflection. Hmm. And it almost feels like this is either saying, I gotta be okay, you know, being with myself, especially if I have good friends around me. You know, it's interesting because I feel like when we get into like relationships, our friends kind of drop away. Not all of them, but versus when you're single, right? Your friends are your family. So I don't know why I'm saying that. Now, this is also about fulfillment of wishes. And I feel like the wish is fulfilled because somehow, some way, you know, the Four of Cups is about using your spiritual discernment, and the Nine of Cups is definitely not fear based. You know, if anything, it's like it might take a lot. All right, let's look at the subconscious mind. Oh, wow. Aries. Ace of Cups. Oh, excuse me one second. Okay. I'm like, what a time to get a knock at the door. Right when we get the Ace of Cups. And in your subconscious mind. Hmm. You know, it's interesting because in the current energy, there is a cup coming in. So, subconsciously, do you already know that? Because when you had this ace to the nine of cups, you had the 10 of cups. Look at all the cups, first of all, for you, fire. Right now, you're nothing but cups. Like you are emotional mess. Or not. I feel like some of you said, you know, you want this ace of cups. And maybe in the nine of cups, you're trusting that it'll come in. But like, you're fine. Like, I don't feel any urgency. And that may have been the lesson. Like, you had to choose you first. You had to come first. Well, why? Think about it. If this love is coming to fruition and you wanted to be of a high vibration, like I wanted someone who is going to love me, like just love me, and I love them. But you have to be able to give what it is you want to receive. So sometimes it's not like the universe being like, no love for you. It's saying you have to choose yourself first. You know, self respect, Mother Mary. And the nine's pointing right to her, also to your past. So let's look at your past. Look at that. Five of Swords. Wow. You know, no wonder there was discontentment, right? This is really toxic energy. This is people who take more than their fair share. You know, these are people with bad communicational skills. Or let me put it a different way. Like, I would put them in the category of like no contact or ghosting. You know, whatever it may be. Number one is the five. So it is asking for change. And five really is free will. So it's gotta be you. You gotta say yes to it. Excuse me. Um, and again, that may be where Mother Mary's coming in. Like, are people just taking advantage of you? Someone taking advantage of you? You know, is someone holding you like has hooks in you in love, but yet shows you no respect? Well, that's why you have to show it to yourself. And you don't want to judge, you certainly don't want to judge future love on this. I feel like this is the web that we get caught in. And sometimes it's because of our own energy, just like the story I told in the beginning, my energy. And when my energy changed, when I became bold, and then everything changed, everything. It was night and day. Even this 5, he's looking back, like, leave me in the back. Huh. All right, let's go to the conscious mind. Page of Wands. My risk taker. Look at him. Shoulders are back. Looks stoic. Like, looks sure of himself, but not in a cocky way. He looks like he's looking out, like what adventure lies out there. This is my risk taker. Even that wand has new growth on it. You can see like all the new growth. That new growth is the potential of what can be. Okay. So let's look at the near future. 7 of Wands. The first thing I felt, I have a feeling there's someone here who something happened and like the defense you got was ridiculous. So instead of, well, what you did, you turned around and I feel like you became an attorney, or like you are now involved in civil rights. You know what I mean? I feel like it's you. It's the change in you. This person is either defending oneself, and there's nothing here that would say that you're defending yourself. So that means, like, I have a feeling some of you just have become an expert at helping others with their problems. And think about your major arcana, the Emperor. By the way, you showed up in Leo's reading, connected. Just thought I would tell you that. It's like the one thing you learned is how to defend yourself. And you did. And I just feel like for maybe just a few, it's asking you to calm down your energy now. Like to get into your water energy instead of your fire. Doesn't mean let go of it, right? Because I feel like this Page of Wands is about to take an adventure. So let's see. Let's follow it. Let's go to you. Eight of Pentacles. You know, this is great news if you're creating something, something new, whether it be a business, a craft. Boy, I've been finding that energy a lot this month. And it is an eight. Like life path eights are all about the material world, but not in like a egotistical way. It's just what their souls came here for. This card tells you or asks you, don't be afraid of moving into something like as the apprentice, because if you focus on it, you will be the master teacher. And you already know you will be. You know what I mean? Because this is something, by the way, I feel like it's part of the Ace of Cups. So I feel like it's something that you love. And listen, maybe some of you're doing it from home. Others, like, it's moved you into, like, something of the past has moved you into areas of, like, really wanting to help. Okay. So this is, an eight, a new beginning. It's also the number of infinity, as above, so below. What that tells me is whatever you're doing here, you've probably done it before, like in another lifetime. And it may be simply, it's like when I started tarot. In the beginning, I'm like, what am I doing? I knew nothing about tarot. So I watched a couple videos and then just did it. And that was so many years ago. Because, I started with Facebook and then they stopped it. Like, you can't do videos anymore. This was a while ago. Because I remember thinking, like, well, that was like a tower moment. What am I going to do? And that's when I moved over to YouTube. And here I am. Okay. Let's look at the external. Two of Wands. I feel like what it's saying, it merely takes your first step. It's that first step. And when you take it, it begins. Especially if I know there's going to be some here who may still be carrying some loneliness. And I do feel like this is saying, if you take it and like, if you look at it with a different perspective, you may see like whatever I was fighting for really wasn't and isn't worth the fight because it's taking away your inner harmony. It's putting you in this state of sadness and maybe longing. But everything is saying you don't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way. Yes, past has to go. But I feel like what you've learned, and if you put inner harmony alongside with everything you've learned, and then you add the Eight of Pentacles in, and even the Ace of Cups, like a love of what you do, even if it's hard work. Well, when should I begin? Now. Now. Just take a step in. All right, let's go up to hopes and fears. I'm moving a little quickly, not that quickly, but because we are going to bring the romance angels in, and they do take us deeper. So, okay, hopes and fears. Look at that. Completely opposite energies. The Magician. Well, we're in the year of the Magician. So we are the alchemist. But if you are in the Ten of Swords and manifesting from that energy, that's just bringing you back more swords. I'm just going to talk about a karmic loop. Because I often feel the Ten of Swords is like a repeat pattern. It's, becoming submissive to the energy. But why? And, I feel like I've been here so many times. So when I say why, I know there's a million different reasons why. I am noticing though, this guy is looking up. So he expects him. Therefore, I must do my job. Or, when you turn Ten of Swords around, which, boy, I feel like, again, Leo got this, but in this way, in that position. But then you get the Magician with it also. How interesting, because this would have been your final outcome. But yet, I feel like the Magician, which is also awareness, by the way. Awareness of what? Maybe this karmic loop. Maybe this is the opportunity to stop it before it remanifest. The final outcome you can always change. And this is the awareness. It's interesting because we had the Five of Swords in the past, and now we have the 10 Swords. So if I ask myself, well, maybe I should give it one more chance. I mean, that has to be up to you. But to me, this means like, what happened back then is only going to happen again, but multiplied. And your energy is part of it. Your energy is manifesting it. So I feel like you're just being called to a higher energy. And the reason being is because it's what you deserve. But you have to know that, these swords can certainly be people who tell you you can't, or you won't, or you're not good enough, you're not pretty enough, you're, this, that, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? But come on. Who cares what these people think? Even if it's a parent, it's still coming from lower vibrational energy. We can rise above that. Interesting. I just flipped them around. Okay, final outcome. 2 swords. Okay. Well, we've come down from the 10 of swords to the 2 swords. And this is still fear-based energy. This is potentially blocking an opportunity. But it is because she's wearing a blindfold. So there's something she doesn't want to face. But by not facing it, it just makes it worse, not better. I don't know. Like, I want to say, it's like me knowing I have to work, like it's say 7 a.m., which, oh my God, thank God I don't have to do that anymore. But the night before, I was only planning on having a glass of wine, but I had 6. So now, not only do I still have to get up at 7, but now I have a hangover. So did I make it better? I don't know why I'm saying it in that way. Don't forget, we can change that. And I feel like it's being pretty clear, but in different ways of, what the potential block is. But it must stem back. It's like in the emotional house, but then the mental, the thoughts, that system also got pulled into it. And it could be negative self talk because that's what I'm used to. Wow. I feel like it's time for a change. Hmm. I definitely feel like what it's saying is your dreams can come true. And it looks like they are. Um, but I feel like we still have some who are kind of maybe still in that loop, and that may be why you're here. And others, I feel like it's a recognition of where you're going. Maybe it's a confirmation. Let's look at the bottom of the deck. King of Wands can be you. He is sitting down. For some reason, I feel like he should be standing up. Everybody else is. So it can, for some reason, to me, it may mean like a lack of action, which is the opposite of this king. This king is very good at following, one's passion. Look at that. The lover's underneath that. The Knight of Wands. It's almost like I've been waiting for someone to show me. And maybe for whatever reason, they can't. So you got to fulfill that within yourself first. But doesn't feel like it's the end of your love. Maybe the end of that love, but it may be the beginning of, I have to say, I feel like the readings are talking about self first, like creating, not being afraid, using your wisdom, your experiences, and for some, like, you're standing up and you're helping people. Uh, all of that. I feel like the love is in the subconscious mind and it is along the path, but I feel like everything before that is just as important. This Ten of Swords, I feel like closing that loop, saying no more, I feel like is cutting those cords. So they will be no more. And, when that karmic lesson is learned, there is always a blessing to follow. And that may be what the ace is kind of like waiting for. Okay. Let's bring in the crystal vision. Well, it's weird. Some days my decks feel very light and airy, and some days they feel heavy. This one feels heavy today. Interesting. Okay, let's start at the current energy. And it is interesting because it is your inner harmony that bridges the past to your future. So again, it's you, but yet divine is playing its part by like probably out of the blue bringing in this cup. And you may need to be a little bold. You know what I mean? But it doesn't even mean you're seeking love, but you're seeking adventure. And that is like, that's kind of your middle name. All right, we have the Three of Pentacles. Nice. It's about your creativity, and that's about your individuality. Can be about partnerships. I often feel like there's a secret admirer in this energy, but it is a recognition of your craft and you being like no one doesn't like you, so you don't have to worry about that. There you are, the Emperor. So some of you are creating your own business. Um, I want to say some may be becoming a father, and I hope that's good news. And then we have the Eight of Wands, what I think about, I bring about. And then fast moving energy. I often feel the Eight of Wands is like how I picture in my mind is like we're throwing four wands out into the universe, and those are our intentions of what we like to come back. But what we got to remember is whatever energy level we're at, and we send them out. Like we send them from the Ten of Swords. Well, energy just reads energy. Okay, well, they want more Ten of Swords back. But this feels completely different. And that's what I feel like night and day. Here, you're manifesting, but you're manifesting like from your authentic energy, I feel like. Okay. King of Swords can be Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, and then the full new beginning. There you go. Fresh new start. I don't know. Maybe with this king, and I'm saying that because, Mother Mary brings out self respect, and, what king needs self respect? The King of Swords. So not only, will he give it, but he will also require it. So there you go, like-minded energy, right? Wanting, like wanting like. If that makes sense. Kind of feels like a circle. Feels like a circle. This may be like a past life type of thing. There's a lot of strength there. There's a lot of belief there, and I feel like it's you being you. And for some of you, it is about like starting a business, like being the leader, let's just say. And some of you, that may be where I'm feeling like in the near future, like you're becoming a leader. You're becoming the spokesperson, or, you're leading the cause. Maybe you're starting your own thing. I feel like I'm not going to leave anything off the table. The Fool's about taking what you love and going with it. And maybe just being open to whatever may be. This King Sword, the Fool is looking right at him, so I have a feeling like this energy is moving forward. So is your creative energy. Okay, let's pick that up. So, I like that your major arcana came over your current energy. So, if you had any doubt. Alright, let's go down to the Ace of Cups. We can call it the subconscious. We could call it the crown, which is or the root. Interesting. Oh wow, I feel like I feel like this is advice. Whether you do it or not will be up to you. But wow. So, the Four of Cups, I feel like someone is subconsciously realizing that they don't have like emotional fulfillment in love, whether it be current, whether it be past. But yet, then justice comes out, and justice talks about cutting those ties. So, cutting the ties of what was. Well, in the Four of Cups, a new cup is coming in. So, it's almost like, and justice can talk about karma. For some of you, I truly feel like this is about completing a karmic lesson. And this is something, once you do that, like you need to stop and celebrate yourself because the heavens are. But sometimes it can only be us. You know what I mean? Like it has to be us. Our guides have to like step back, support. But, and then justice, when you do cut those ties, um, it really balances you. It really makes you whole again. So it falls in your favor. But I feel like this is asking you to ask yourself. Let's just put it that way. And I mean, it's over the Ace of Cups. Look at that. I feel like there's our answer. The Eight of Cups, there's that walking away. Some of you are working it out, but like in the subconscious mind. That can mean in your dreams, like in dream state, like you're working these emotional things out. And this is leaving it all behind. And it's not about regret. It's like everything's taught me something. And maybe sometimes I taught another something. You know what I mean? So, we have many soulmates. And, one definitely feels like a karmic soulmate. I'm not going to lie. Um, and that is not meant, and they're not meant to stay. And that's the thing. Not all soulmates are meant to stay. But maybe, just maybe, that's where we're heading, to the one that does. But whether that's the case or not, right? This is you just saying you're giving yourself a new beginning. You cut those ties and you're like gone. Really, like you're gone. And you put this Ace of Cups with the Eight of Cups, we have the Nine of Cups. Well, we have the Nine of Cups right here, right in your current energy with the Four of Cups. And justice just feels like the answer. Not only justice, but then letting it go, letting it be, finding a way to find peace within. Let's just put it that way. Wow. Okay. So that was pretty clear. And listen, I know not everyone is going to be like, oh, okay. And I know sometimes it's much easier said than done. But I've been in all those situations. So I know it can be done. Look at that. The Eight of Swords in reverse. Beautiful. This is letting down walls. This is letting it go. This is saying to those who have held you back, held you down, but you allowed it in a way. You have to be honest with oneself. And this is just saying no more. Like this is you trusting in your intuition. In the Eight of Swords, I feel like you're doing anything but that. Sometimes you feel stuck. That's an illusion. And I feel like swords, like, I can come right between those swords. She can't see that. And, like, look at all the, I don't know, ravens, like, hmm, almost like they're speaking to her, but they're negative. She's saying no more. No more, no more, no more, no more. Hit the road, Jack. And don't you come back no more. You know, what I love about the Eight of Swords in reverse, it is a sense of freedom. Freedom to be, freedom to explore, because what it does is it moves you into the Page of Wands energy, which is your, let's just say for some, like, when you used to stand tall, and maybe you've been shrinking, and maybe a lot of it is external, but yet you got to find your power in it. That's what I feel. And I feel like when you do, like, it all just seems to change. Just like the magician, the awareness over the Ten of Swords. Look at this, the Ace of Swords. Truth, potential communication. There are red roses climbing up it. They look like they're just beginning. All the butterflies around there. Like the butterflies are attracted to the scent. And there's something within the scent. And it's like in that scent lies your truth. Maybe your true love. This is you living in your truth and loving every moment of it. It's like the reclaiming of your power. And once you do that, and some of you don't even realize it, that there's still like these hooks in you. And I don't know, I just feel like it's self realization that ends that loop. Well, self realization and then action. But you're doing it for your own inner peace and you're finding it. Okay. And then the cup is just, you know, it's coming in. But I still feel like, are we really thinking that way yet? Does it matter yet? Some of you may there's like power within your voice, power within your truth. And you may like boldly step up and speak. Or this may be what you like. I could see some of you doing like motivational videos or motivational speaking. And you're really just talking about what you've been through. So it is your truth, but it's your truth with clarity. So I see that happening for some. I feel like with the Page of Wands and the Ace of Swords, all is possible. The Seven of Pentacles. I feel like this is your tree of life. That's how I look at it. And Seven of Pentacles speaks to patience, first and foremost. It's like when you plant a seed, you want to nurture that seed. You want to make sure the seed's getting light, watered. There's a lot of water, but there's not a lot of light. Well, in the past. And, sometimes we think someone is this or that. Maybe we thought they were a soulmate, and they really are. They're a karmic soulmate, though. And I feel like time of patience is like, to me, this means that something is about to happen. I feel like it sits on your tree of life. So, in other words, it's really your destiny, but so is your past. And I want to remind you, like the soul feels like going through this karmic lesson is a blessing because here's the opportunity to end it, to complete it and complete it for eternity. And that's a big thing. The human mind may not get it at that point, but I feel like you're getting it. So I feel like, again, patience, that's what was. I even like the two sevens together. Interesting. That may mean something like 77. Hmm. Okay. So let's keep going. I feel like something destined. Number one is pointing right down to the Eight of Pentacles. So we cannot leave that out. Like what you decide to do, with your time and your craft and your own abilities, wisdom, whatever you choose to do. I don't think there's you're being asked to choose this or that. I feel like it's asking you to be true to you. Four of Pentacles. So interesting. Some of you, maybe that's part of what you've always wanted, like to work from home. Maybe the way I got here wasn't what I expected, but nonetheless, here I am, and here sits this opportunity. What do I do? What do I do? The one thing about the Four of Pentacles, it can be resistant energy. Sometimes it can talk about being resistant to hearing out maybe someone else's ideas. I'm not really feeling that. Maybe a little bit. I feel like this is about what you're doing is making sure your own foundation is strong. It's like the hell with someone else, you know, like me depending on someone else to know if my foundation is strong. The hell with that. I'm going to make my own foundation strong. And especially if you learned that karmic lesson, you cut those cords and you're done with it. I truly believe that you believe, and therefore it will be, that you can create anything. You can do anything. And it's starting with you. I feel your energy changing. So I feel at this point you probably used, well, I was just going to say you probably used that sword. And then now comes the Queen of Swords. I often feel the Queen of Swords speaks her piece, and then there's a mic drop. And that's all I'm going to say. That's all I want to hear. The Queen of Swords, Just like the King of Swords, right? We saw the King of Swords. We know it's part of the journey. It's connected to the Fool. So some of you, it can be you, but I'm feeling also, and then here's the Queen of Swords. And if we remember, especially as the Emperor, that we had the experience of all the kings and queens, this is just energy we can pull on. This is your truth. This is you speaking your truth. You know, it's like her sword is lit up, so it doesn't feel like it's defensive. It's just truth. She's holding the butterfly, so it's like she's become one. It's almost like this butterfly lands on her. For some of you, it's like that is a spiritual message. Oh, I just realized she's got wings. Like some of you are becoming like an earth angel. That can't happen, Sandy. Well, that's kind of what it looks like. Especially if we take the energy of the magician to the Nine of Cups, your current energy can be, anyway, you really, the Four of Cups, discontentment and boredom. Sadness, can be loneliness, can be longing. But your subconscious feels like it's stronger than ever. And it feels like it's giving you the way. It's telling you the truth. Because I don't feel like you're hearing it externally. I feel like you have to realize it. You have to set yourself free. But when you do, it's like, and it all begins. You know, the Queen of Swords showing up is like giving Mother Mary exactly what she was asking for. All right. Let's go up to your hopes and fears. Well, that makes sense. So, Seven of Swords with the Queen of Cups. That makes sense. Seven of Swords, definitely untrustworthy energy. They call it the thief in the night. This person, you know, I feel like is a liar. Connected to the Queen of Cups, right? The emotional house. Love. It's almost like the Queen is like, and as the Queen, I give my all. But then the Seven of Swords, not so much. I definitely feel the Seven of Swords is also in the Ten of Swords. It's not part of your future, unless you choose it. That is interesting. I'm going to keep them down here. Look at that. What did I just say? Unless you choose it. And here you are, making that decision. But guess what? You're not doing it out of a fear-based mind now. You're looking at something like, will you enhance my life or will you deplete my life? This is you using your logical mind. You're trusting your gut. I already know you're walking away. It showed that. But maybe for some, it's showing you, like, again, the type of energy, right? And where it's affecting you. But yet also in the thought system. There's no way it can't be affecting you in your mind. Definitely in your heart. And, you know, I get it. I may fear that that's, you know, even if this ends, that someone else will come back around and be the same energy. And I feel like that's why it's being called to you first. like when your energy changes, so does everything else around you. It's like the world recalibrates. She chose the light. She chose the light. Let's light up path. Let's light up the wands and the pentacles and the cups. Let's close down the swords. Except for the Ace of Swords, your truth, your self-respect, honesty. But, it's almost like a badge. And it's just who you are now. And therefore, it must be what part of, anyone who comes into your life. Right? Because it's just who you are now. All right. Let's go up to Two of Swords. Pick this up. All right, interesting. First, we have the Knight of Swords. Interesting. The Nine of Cups. Hello, Will. Felt it all along. And look at that in your final outcome. Not only the Wheel, but you and the Nine of Cups. And then that Knight of Swords. Who's that? And then, well, hello, sun. Goodbye, darkness, my old friend. I don't wanna be with you again. Sun, your illuminator. Brand new day. Always clear. Even this communication, whatever this knight is bringing, he's on a white horse, he's above the darkness. And it's interesting, you have the Ace of Swords there. What am I holding? The Sun. Called Leo, by the way. Leo's ruler. And we've talked about Leo a few times. I mean, boy, does that change the outcome, no? It's like night and day. I feel like the wheel signifies just what the Seven of Pentacles is saying. We don't want to look at our past and be like, what was I thinking? Maybe you were paying karma back. Maybe you had the opportunity to close this loop for good. Maybe you're not talking negative to yourself anymore. And maybe that alone starts to change things, right? Like, I'm not going to tell myself I'm not worthy, I am worthy. And that self-talk can help you change your situation. Like, what am I doing here? It's going to keep happening. This is not how I saw my life. And everything feels like it's just coming true in the final outcome now. And I love, not only do we have the Nine of Cups over you, not over you, but it's you. But then we have another Nine of Cups, potentially the second person. So both people, who knows, maybe both of you had your own karmic lessons to pay back. And your guides, some may say like, well, that was cruel. Why do my guides help me? Because they don't want to stop you from the ability to like pay this off for not just for eternity, but for future use. You know what I mean? or even future family members. Like, I end it right here, right now. I put me back in the driver's seat. I know and see my truth. And I feel like whatever you decide to do, like in a creative way, whatever you feel guided to do, some of you, I just feel like you're going to do it and you're just going to find success. Because I really feel like this is about the power of you and then the power of love. So it's interesting in the Four of Cups, so I pointed each cup was like a stepping stone to the next cup. Here is the ultimate, right? Like it literally says that at this time, where the wheel stops this time, it's in light. It's in the light. It's not a lesson, it's a blessing. And it just is. I feel it. So, another reading this month that feels life changing to me. Whether, anybody chooses to do anything, that's free will. And I know that. But boy, do I feel like this is just another reading. It's like another roadmap that guides us to, like, what our souls really came here for. And it's not to back down, right? It's to go through these lessons, but to come out of them, knowing that they're meant to complete. The magician knows that. The magician is in the state of awareness. And now he's pointing right to the sun. Hello. And so it is, and so it is. And I'm going to leave it be, guys. I loved it. But I want to hear what you have to say. I really do. Like, where are you at? Or if you've, like, started to feel this change yet. Just whatever you want. I love you guys. I thank you. See you next time at the table. Bye-bye.